Hello everyone. I hope that all of you are fine at your respective places. And today we are going to discuss on a very important tool of IPM, that is cultural control. It is known to you. The term is known to you. So before we start the discussion, I must uh, say that the contents, whatever there in the slides which I will be presenting, have been prepared from, have been compiled from various online resources and textbooks, and this has been prepared only to help you, the students, keeping in view the present unprecedented situation. So there is no question of claiming copyright for this video. Now let's start the discussion. As I have said that this cultural control term is known to you from your graduation. So if you recall your graduation studies, then you know that cultural practices, I mean, which are used in integrated pest management, that include all the crop production and management techniques which are utilized by the farmers to maximize their crop productivity or farm income. And you also know that it includes decisions on crops or varieties to be grown, time and manner of planting, tillage, field and crop sanitation, application of fertilizers, and even irrigation. Even the harvesting time can also play a role, or the harvesting procedures even can manage to some extent. And the off-season operations in the crop field are also included in this cultural control. So the manipulation of these practices for reducing or avoiding the pest damage to crops is known as cultural control. So since cultural control manipulations are based on habitat management and require a thorough understanding of different components of the agroecosystem in which the pests thrive, the approach has also been called as, ecological management or environmental control. Now, what is the purpose of, or what are the purposes of cultural control in IPM? So, the purpose of cultural control is to make the environment less favorable for the pest, or another way to make the environment more favorable for the natural enemies of the pest. So I hope that you have understood the meaning of the cultural control and the importance of it. Now let's start discussing on different sub tools, we can say, under the cultural control practices. So first of all, the planting time. So the manipulation of this planting time, when the crop has to be shown, the manipulation of the dates, whether it has to be sown early or it has to be sown in the latter stage, late sown condition, it can impact on the pest population directly or indirectly. So it helps to minimize the pest damage by producing asynchrony between host plant and the pest, or even synchronizing the insect pests with their natural enemies, or crop production with available alternate host plants of the pest or by production followed by destruction of the crop residues before the insect can enter the diapause. So we are having several examples under this one. For example, on your right hand side, the paste, the weevil which you are seeing here is a cotton boll weevil, and USA in 1900s they adopted the strategy to use the early maturing varieties to reduce the paste load, cotton boll weevil load. The second examples where on your left hand side the American bollworm is there, and on your right hand side whitefly is there. So by sowing till May in India, I'm talking on, American bollworm and this whiteflies are managed to some extent. Now, third example. So by early planting method, by adopting early planting method in paddy, the gall midge, leaf folder can be managed, and similarly in sorghum and millet, the shoot fly and head bugs can be managed by again the early planting method. So early sowing can also reduce the white grub in groundnut. And the sixth example which is there regarding mustard aphid in mustard. So this example is very common. If we do the sowing of the mustard in October, then the crop escapes the damage due to aphids, because during February onwards, when the aphid population, aphid load is higher, by that time the crop matures, so it escapes the aphid damage. So indirectly it helps in managing aphids or escaping the aphids, and we gain more yield in mustard. But many a times, due to the late sowing of rice or the long duration rice varieties the farmers adopt, many a times it is not possible for the farmers to sow the mustard during October. So the seventh example is regarding chickpea pod borer. So again, early sowing can reduce the pod borer damage. Now, seed rate. So the adoption of appropriate seed rate, it ensures the proper stand, spacing and crop canopy that helps in adoption of proper spray technology and checks the unwanted growth of the crop. Use of high seed rate is recommended in those crops where removal of infested plants is helpful in minimizing the incidence of insect pests. For example, maize stain borer in maize. Two examples I have cited here, you see. And sorghum soot fly in sorghum. So these are some of the exceptions where the high seed rate can be recommended, because we usually do the thinning in your maize and sorghum. So during that time we remove the infested plants and we destroy those. Now, plant spacing. So what is the objective of spacing in crop or crop plants? So the major objective in spacing crop plants is to obtain the maximum high quality yield per unit area per unit time. But this spacing can also influence the population and damage of many insect pests by modifying the microenvironment of the crop or affecting the health, vigor and strength of the crop plants or patterns and duration of crop growth and development. So again some examples. So in rice, and this is known to all of you, that if we adopt the closer spacing in rice, we usually get more BPH, white back plant hopper, gall midge and leaf folder. But on contrary to that, the closer spacing again in rice can lower the incidence of GLH, that is green leaf hopper, rice hispa and world maggot. So these are two contrasting examples where some of the insect pests get favorable condition like BPH, WBPH, gall midge and leaf folder, and some of the insect pests like green leaf hopper, rice hispa and world maggot, they get the unfavorable condition when it is a closer spacing. Again, another contrasting example is in groundnut, where the closer spacing can lower the incidence of thrips, jassids and leaf miner in groundnut. But in case of cotton, the closer spacing, it helps in maximizing the population of most of the insect pests, especially the borers. Again, in case of sugarcane, most of the borers get favorable condition when sugarcane is having the closer spacing. But again, a contrasting example in case of chickpea, where Apis craxivora gets the unfavorable condition when it is the closer spacing, when chickpea is grown by adoption of closer spacing. So these were some of the examples regarding plant spacing, and let's move on to the tillage practice, how it influences the crop pests. So regarding tillage, from your graduation studies, you know what is tillage and how it is done. And from that study, you also know that the fall ploughing is often helpful in reducing the overwintering population of Helicobacter species. That is chickpea pod borer, or it can be pigeon pea pod borer or cotton American bollworm, and several species of cutworms also, which undergo diapause in soil during winter. Again, deep ploughing immediately after harvest of wheat crop in April to May is helpful in exposing the resulting, in resting grafts of rice root weevil to their natural enemies like birds, which you were seeing behind the tractor, which we always see, and to action of the sun and wind. Deep ploughing is also helpful in minimizing the infestation of RB worm in cereal crops, white grubs, which attacks the groundnut and chilies, pupae of hairy caterpillar attacking groundnut, green drum, etc. And another very classical example is, that is also known to us, that as fruit flies, they pupate inside the soil. So if we if we do the tillage practices in the orchards, mango orchards or even guava orchards, where fruit fly infestation is much more higher, then those pupae are exposed to the sunlight as well as to the birds, and the fruit fly infestation can be minimized. Now let's move on to the intercropping and trap cropping. So a list of examples is here in front of you, which I have compiled from Altieri and Nichols 2004. So you see that when intercropping of cotton with sorghum or maize is done, then corn earworm, that is Helicoverpa armigera, is suppressed due to the abundance of the predators. When groundnut is intercropped with field beans, the Apis craxivora infestation is suppressed, is minimized, because the aphids are trapped on epidermal hair of the beans. When groundnut is intercropped with maize, then the European corn borer, that is Australia species, is much more reduced, because the intercropping system which is being used here helps in getting the abundance of the wool spider Lycosa species, so that this Lycosa species feed on the Australia species due to their abundance. When sesame is intercropped with corn or sorghum, the waveworm, that is Antigastra species, is much more reduced due to the shading effect. Because you know that the length of the sorghum or corn is much more higher than the sesame. So, due to shading effect by taller companion crops, the problem of Antigastra or the waveworm is much more lesser in this type of intercropping system. When tomato is intercropped with cabbage, it has been noticed that due to some chemical repellence and masking effect, the Plutella xylostella population, that is diamond backmark population, is much more lower in this type of intercropping system. So here are some of the examples of trap cropping practices. When marigold is used as a border crop around the garlic as a main crop, the thrips in garlic are controlled. Again, when castor is used as a border crop in cotton field, then the problem of, it has been noticed that the problem of Helicoverpa species is much more lower in cotton. In chickpea, in cotton, chickpea can play a role as a trap crop to control the Helicoverpa armigera population of cotton, because both of these chickpea and cotton, they are host of Helicoverpa species. So probably when the chickpea is grown as a trap crop, the Helicoverpa prefers chickpea more than the cotton. That is why it minimizes the population or the infestation of Helicoverpa in cotton. Cowpea can be used as a trap crop or row intercrop in every 5 rows of cotton, again to trap the helicobacter population. Indian mustard can be used in cabbage as a male field to attract the cabbage head borers, that is Helula undalis. So the list is very long. Marigold can be used as a trap crop, and this example is known to all of us. Due to some allelochemicals which are secreted from the marigold roots, it can control the nematodes. So, in the main crops like the solanaceous crops, cruciferous, leguminous crops, and cucurbitaceous crops, marigold can be used as a trap crop. Again, Napier grass can be used as a border crop or even as intercrop with the main crop of corn to control the stem borer in corn. Sunflower is used as a trap crop to trap the helicobacter population in main field of cotton. Tomato, that can be used as a trap crop, although it is planted as intercrop, where tomato is planted 2 weeks ahead of cabbage planting, and it can control the diamondback moth in cabbage. Now, the nutrient management. So this is very important one, because it is known that the excessive use of inorganic nitrogenous fertilizers generally creates congenial conditions for many insect pests. High levels of nitrogenous fertilizers significantly increases the incidence of most of the insect pests, including yellow stem borer, leaf folder, gall midge, green leaf hopper, brown plant hopper, WBPH, that is white back plant hopper, rice earhead bug, that is Gandhi bug, rice hispa even on the rice crop. On the other hand, the application of potash and sometimes phosphorus also, either singly or in combination with nitrogenous fertilizers, that results in lower incidence of many of the insect pests. But what is the reason behind that? People say that it has been found that potash application enhances the protein synthesis, which results in reduced amino acid content of the plant sap, which makes the plant less suitable for development and multiplication of the insect pests, especially the sap sucking pests. Now, the field sanitation or sanitation, which usually is also known as clean cultivation. So why clean cultivation is needed? Because sometimes the crop pest gets the alternate host during the off season or even during the main season also. So it helps, getting the alternate hosts help the pests to multiply continuously and probably rapidly also. So the destruction of the alternate host plants is very important to manage some of the notorious pests. So here are some of the examples I mean, this one is albuterol indicum, this one. So removal of this albuterol indicum, as well as this one is Sida species, SIDA, Sida species. So removal of these two can reduce the spotted bollworm infestation. Destruction of albuterol, then Sida, can also help in, reducing the whitefly population also. And this one is Datura metal. So this destruction of this Datura metal can help in minimizing the American bollworm population. Now, deterracing of dry leaves in case of sugarcane from August onwards can minimize the sugarcane pyrilla population, that is Pyrilla purpurea. Also, in probably this is a generalized one, that avoiding retooling in the crops can minimize the pest population. So, in case of PGNP, retooling must be avoided to minimize the pests like pod fly, idiophyid mite, very important pest of PGNP. Idiophyid mite, that is Asteria cajami, that is an important vector of PGNP sterility mosaic virus, which is known to you. So these pests can be minimized if we avoid the retooling in the crops. So we have discussed several sub tools under the cultural control methods in IPM: planting time, seed rate, then plant spacing, then tillage, then intercropping and trap cropping, then nutrient management and sanitation. So I hope that I have been able to explain it to you, and I request all of you to go through some of the textbooks, especially the textbook entitled Integrated Pest Management Concepts and Approaches, written by G.S. Dhaliwal and Ramesh Arora, for more information. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.